We need to watch the CoffeeZilla videos first. That's the main story. That's what everyone's talking about. A high-level overview. Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire pedophile, flying around and cavorting with all sorts of rich and powerful people. Dude, Aiden and I got into a debate on the Patreon. We got into an actual kind of heated debate where I took the side that I was at least suspicious of all the conspiracy theories in the world. I don't believe almost any of them, but I have a gut feeling that it's too coincidental that Epstein killed himself. I think that's the one that doesn't feel like a conspiracy theory. It feels like, man, it's so convenient. And then Aiden was on the side, which I think is fair, of like, listen, it's entirely plausible for that all to be coincidence. For a convicted pedophile to kill himself is not that crazy. And the cameras and guards being lazy is actually pretty normal in our prison system. We had a debate on it, but it got intense.
Dude, try every public underfunded institution
I
ever.
get what you're saying.
All I'm saying is if we just take Occam's razor to it, bro, follow it down the line. And the thing is,
so convenient. So everyone knows Epstein gets caught while in prison, mysteriously dies. Apparently suicide. Since then, no one else other than Ghislaine Maxwell, his madame, his partner in crime, his handler, sidekick, mistress. Other than her, no one else has been punished. The idea that there's been this network of pedophilia and there's been no listing of who he worked with or who else was part of this has been a long source of consternation and political turmoil. People have always felt a simmering rage that this guy kind of evaded justice through not being placed on suicide watch, mysteriously dying, and then no one else getting punished. It all just feels like a cover. It feels very smeary. And so for years, basically the entire Biden administration, Epstein was caught and died during Trump won. Just a reminder on timeline. But during the whole Biden administration, there was this rallying cry that once Trump came back to power, he would finally release the Epstein files, release the client list that the DNC was hiding. And now we'd get the fucking truth. And now we'd figure out, we'd drain that swamp, we get to the bottom of it. And then Trump does win and he sweeps into power and he puts Pam Bondi in charge and she's talking about it. She's walking around with binders. Like they were walking out holding these binders that say like the Epstein client, the Epstein documents, the Epstein client list. Like, are these just fake? And they were like, these are going to be released. It's time. And then nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And then people start asking more. And then recently, when a reporter asked about it, Trump snaps and he goes, why are we still talking about this creep? Why are we still talking about Epstein? Let's move on. Like, and then he posted this huge rant that we talked about already, where he's like, Obama wrote those files. Obama and the crooked DNC wrote those files. We can't trust them. We're not going to release them. They don't exist. Trump geriatric tweet about Epstein is in the timeline. They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and quote, selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. Calling Jeffrey Epstein the guy that never dies is very funny. He's more known for dying than anything else. For years, it's Epstein over and over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files. Okay, so the Epstein files do exist. Because didn't they just say they don't exist? They do exist, but they're created by Obama. Obama wrote them, and that's why I see. And that's why they can't publish them. Not because you were a close personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein for years, like 15 years. That's not the reason. It's because Obama, who wasn't president when Epstein was arrested, you were. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, it's not fixed, bro. Energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons. It's never enough for some people. We're about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. It's also insane. In over 100 years, he's clearing FDR. He's clearing administrations that won World War II. Truman won World War II in 6 months. And you're saying that because you cracked down on a protests in LA and shouted about tariffs that have never come out. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI, well, I will say, I don't know about the quote unquote capital L left, but it is wild that everything I say about how poorly I think this administration is doing in its first 100 days, 6 months, is not really being capitalized much on by the Democratic Party, who still polls horrendously. The only story I ever hear out of the actual DNC is that somebody from the DNC will do like a 8-hour filibuster for a bill that passes anyway. It's happened like 4 times in 6 months. We're like, they heroically spoke for 8 hours. Hakeem Jeffries spoke for 8 hours to block a bill. And then everyone like has I love Hakeem shirts, and then it passes anyway. Like, it didn't do anything. It's all theater. It's useless. Back to this. And arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. She's the one that said it. She said it. You said it. You were going to release the files. It was a whole thing in the campaign. Big promise. We're going to release the Epstein files finally. The Democrats wouldn't do it. And now you're saying, why are we still talking about this? It's so crazy. They're all written by the radical left anyway. Do you understand that it looks like you're in the files? That's what it looks like to anyone with a brain. Even someone without a brain, because Elon Musk did the same thing. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it is the, quote, hottest country anywhere in the world. We are looking pretty sexy. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Dude, this is written like an Always Sunny character trying to get you to not look in the closet. It's like cartoonishly obvious. It's like when it's like, if it was a play, this character would look at the audience and wink. It's so ridiculous. Yes, we get it. You're in the files, bro. You know, there's a lot of things you can get away with in politics. There's a lot of promises you can make and then later sweep under the rug. But this promise was so concrete and said so loudly and so specifically for so long that just being like, nah, move on, does not fly. And so it's weird because there's been a lot of things that I would personally think like are like red flags, red lines to draw with Trump's actions in the first 100 days. But this one has really hit with a lot of like right-leaning podcaster crowds. You know, Andrew Schultz of Flagrant basically came out and had a whole rant about it because, you know, this was like a thing that like everyone wanted to see these files get released and now nothing's happening. It was the straw for a lot of people. It's becoming the straw for a lot of people. It's becoming a very weird moment where everyone's like, is someone corrupt or guilty? And so CoffeeZilla has been taking the lead on this story on his Voidzilla account. And I think has put out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos in 6 days about the Epstein thing. Now, we don't have to watch all of these. I was probably going to watch this one because it seemed interesting, and maybe this one. But we could start with the first one, I guess, where they first talked about no client.
Today, we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. The big update, you know, Kash Patel goes on Joe Rogan and says,
if there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge.
Dude, the idea that the head of our FBI is like leaning into a mic as Joe Rogan puffs smoke into his face. It's like, where's our country at?
But I think you deserve criticism if you're going to engage in this type of conspiratorial thinking.
Yeah, it's just so wild to hype it up, amp it up, lean into it, use it to get power. And then when you're there, be like, what are you talking about, you brain-rotted conspiracy theorist? Can we please move on from this whole Epstein nonsense? It just feels very self-serving.
And was Epstein just filming himself the whole time for like, did he put it in the evidence box? I mean, that's the ridiculous thing about this. Why would you film yourself committing these?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the, like when police raided Epstein's Palm Beach residence in 2006 for the original time he was locked up, they found hidden cameras in his home with a video surveillance system. He tracked all of the stuff around him and used it, quote, to gain possible blackmail information. He kept compact discs locked in his safe in New York with handwritten labels that included the description of person plus name. And it's implied that it's all himself. All of this stuff is himself. None of that. for the second time around, none of that existed and it's all 1,000 for, it's so interesting to imply that all of this footage you found does not implicate anyone else and we all need to move on.
Saying later, this systemic review revealed no incriminating client list. Now, here's where I gotta say, like,
she said it was on her desk. How do you go on the news and say, yes, there's a client list on my desk, and then be like, no, there's no client list? Wait, I'm sorry. Ghislaine Maxwell said she's ready to reveal the client list. Is this a real story? You hit me in the Daily Mail or something. She's behind bars serving 20 years. No one from the government has ever asked her to share what she knows. She was never offered any kind of plea deal. On Saturday night, Trump posted a rebuttal saying, for years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we not giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the looters and criminals of the Biden administration? The idea that Obama wrote the Epstein files is so funny to me. Epstein literally arrested and convicted during Trump's administration. And that's when Obama was cooking up the Epstein files. Obama's playing chess, dude. Also, like, not that it's not discussed enough already, but they were close friends, man. Epstein and Trump were close friends for like 10 to 15 years. I think Epstein is on tape, on a tape recorded by author Michael Wolff, that said Trump was his closest friend. That's a tough angle. Direct quote from Trump from New York Magazine in 2002. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. That's a direct quote. You can find it right here. And there's the quote. I can't believe a young Obama in 2002 pretended to be Trump, called New York Magazine, and said this quote, knowing he's playing the long con. That was brilliant. Obama's schemes go so deep. It's about Clinton? Yeah, I mean, fucking Bill Clinton probably hung out with this guy too. Listen, the assumption is that all of the people who are constantly photographed hanging out with Epstein hung out with Epstein. I would buy that. I would buy that. I would give that. I'm just Occam's razoring it that it's probably not what they say, which is like, yeah, I barely knew him. I barely knew him. That was the only photo that we ever spent any time together. It's probably that they were more free about their association with him before it was a problem, but now they pretend like they never knew him.
Obviously, we've already seen deflections from the president about Epstein, saying that it's a disgrace to talk about him.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? It just seems like a desecration.
Dude, it's so fucking crazy. Dude, I talked about this yesterday, but like, this is what I can't stress enough. This is what like a child would do in a show when they were guilty and trying to hide something.
Later in the post, Trump also says that these are radical left-inspired documents and to not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. But actually, we all do care about it. You know who doesn't actually?
Dude, that's great. Listen, Trump has a lot of power to change people's minds. He can get a lot of people to care about something or not care about something. But he's really pushing the limits to tell people who have talked about Jeffrey Epstein nonstop for 4 years to be like, nobody cares about this. Nobody cares. Everyone move on. It's like, it's such insane whiplash.
People largely didn't trust the job that Biden had done. That's why it was a compelling story. So the idea now that it was Biden and Obama who invented the Epstein files is absolutely preposterous.
Also insane that Biden and Obama cooked up these devious files and then didn't release them. They cooked them up, but didn't release them so that you could run on the fact that you were going to release them and then get to power and then not release them because they're cooked up by Biden and Obama. It makes no sense. It makes no sense, dude. It was 9D chess. I guess, dude, imagine, dude, it would be so funny to live in a world where Trump is telling the 100% truth. Every time we're like, this makes no sense, Trump. And he's looking over there and Obama's just off camera, smirking deviously. You fell right into my trap. Obama literally sat down and wrote down these fake files, then purposefully got Biden to not release them so that Trump could be like, wait a minute, I want to see them. run on that, get to power, realize he was hoodwinked. Now it's too late. A Saw-level planning by Obama.
Everyone who wasn't seen with Epstein, wasn't on that plane, of course they all want the files out. And what's interesting...
So this is my argument with Aiden on the podcast. Is basically what I said. Listen, here's an example. There was the Boeing whistleblower death. You know, I think I made jokes on here about Boeing murdering whistleblowers. But in reality, my personal opinion is that they didn't. The more I looked into it, the more it's like just being a whistleblower is an incredibly isolating, lonely experience. And in fact, Boeing didn't even benefit from his death in really any way. I mean, it was like one person of many that are suing them. And I'm of the opinion that Boeing didn't actually kill anybody. I would hate that. But this one feels so much different to me. This one feels so much differently because the incentive is so strong. If there are rich and powerful people connected to Epstein in this case, for him to not go to trial, not have this case continue, not have it looked into. The incentive is so insanely strong. And then the coincidence of him dying off camera, off suicide watch, guards don't check in every 30 minutes like they're supposed to, is so insanely convenient. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying we don't have an underfunded prison system. I'm not saying we don't have a shitty prison system. But, you know, if you look into it, even lightly, you know, Epstein is caught, I think, late July. And then a few days later, maybe like a week or two, while he's in prison, the prison suddenly has a total camera outage where like 3/4 of their cameras are down for technical errors for weeks. And then the day it's supposed to be fixed, he dies. It's just, I'm not saying it's impossible. I guess there's a world where all these things line up. But because the benefit is so high if someone was implicated, it just feels crazy to be told to just move on. And by the way, I mean, it's possible he did kill himself because he did attempt suicide, I believe, before that. But then it's weird because he was on suicide watch and they took him off of it. The whole thing is just so strange. To me, it's so much more plausible than any other of the normal conspiracy theories that get thrown around. And so I don't feel like it's the same thing to me. I don't feel like I'm being less skeptical than usual.
The reason it's sort of a Mandela effect that he campaigned on the idea of releasing the Epstein files is because Fox News released a deceptively edited clip where they cut out the part where he said, yeah, I'll probably release the Epstein files. And they cut out the part where then he backtracks on that completely.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
And that's the part most of us saw. Of course, later, people found out that the full clip showed him saying basically the opposite.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole...
Come on, dude. How do you spin this? That's so obvious that you're in there. That's so obvious. That is...
You also have the Elon Musk allegation from left field, but he doesn't source anybody, so we won't count that. Either way, I must say, I don't know for sure if Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew...
Listen, I don't give Elon Musk an ounce of credit, but the Elon Musk allegation has some weight, if only because Elon Musk was the world's biggest Trump glazer until 1 week before he said it. It has some, in that he was deeply enmeshed in the administration, gave $300 million to support Trump's campaign. So for him to say it is burning a very important bridge, now I don't think he's doing it out of a heroic sense of justice for the victims of the Epstein thing. I think he was doing it because he wants to get the EV tax credit back in the bill. I think he's not running on a total lie. I think there's some truth there.
We know this from the Miami Herald because the FBI agents who searched Epstein's house found a cache of thick black binders all labeled with names that contained hundreds of naked or semi-naked photographs on CDs that Epstein stored in various places.
Yeah, but all of the names were just Jeffrey Epstein. He wrote his own name. He wrote his own name on hundreds of fucking binders of CDs and labels. Just his own name on every single one. So no one else needs to go to jail. No one else is in trouble.
The labels on the binders were redacted from photos because prosecutors said they were names of third parties.
That's crazy.
Who were not relevant to the case.
They're not relevant! Investing notorious sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein, who's got binders of evidence in his closet with people's names on it. We gotta cover those up. You gotta imagine it's relevant, bro. Gotta imagine it's relevant. Locking up El Chapo and... letting the rest of the cartel off the hook. El Chapo telling you, I did it all alone. I acted alone. I smuggled all the drugs. I committed all the murders myself. I grew the cocaine. I packaged it. I smuggled it. I sold it. It was all me, El Chapo, a one-man cartel.
Well, if there are predators in the highest offices in the land, be they Democrat or Republican, we want to know about it.
Well said. Good video. Yeah, I agree. I fucking agree. But if there's any good to come from this, absolutely insane, deranged Truth Social by Trump, is that it's so blatantly obvious that it does seem to be a cracking point for a lot of people. It does seem to be a cracking point. Listen, I've always said that. I said this since the day of inauguration, but I maintain deep confidence in it. Unless something insane happens, which will always give you an out to subvert the entire democratic process. I'm not saying it could never happen, but unless that happens, the midterms are going to be a fucking bloodbath. They're going to be a bloodbath. And then Trump's a lame duck, dude. Because right now, everything he gets away with is because Congress does not have any check on him. But once the midterms are over, assuming they run according to polling, he's in a much worse spot for getting anything through.